Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And we have you on the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. Hope you had a great weekend. The New York Knicks, when we left here on Friday, had a couple of games against teams that hadn't done well against the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, and both of those games went exactly the way we did not want them to go and the way that they have gone the entire year, where the best teams, the three best teams in the league, they can't beat, and it's not particularly close. And I've had the opinion so far that, all right, had some injuries, OG's not himself, Mitchell Robinson's not there, maybe it's not the team you're going to see in the playoffs. The playoffs, the style of play changes, regular season not as much, but now I'm starting to get worried because I don't know if they are good enough defensively or capable enough defensively to handle these teams, and it just feels like they are miles away. I'm not giving up on them. I'm so excited that there is a team that's a lock for the playoffs, and there'll be a battle in the playoffs. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we didn't see this type of basketball for like 2 decades. But we want to get to the next step, and I'm not sure they could do it this year. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm doing all right, and I agree with you. We said on Friday that, the Cavalier game and the Celtic game will tell us where the Knicks are right now, and obviously they're not 100%. We know that. But still, even with Mitchell Robinson coming back, I don't know how much of a difference that will make. Maybe a few more rebounds, maybe a few more block shots. But, when we talked, I was telling you that when the Knicks play these teams, the Cavs, the Celtics, or the Thunder, all of a sudden it becomes a little helter-skelter, and shots don't go in. There are bad shots being taken. Defense is forgotten about. Defensive rebounding is forgotten about. Things just happen against these better teams that are just absolutely bitch-slapping the Knicks is basically what's happening. Mm-hmm. And, it's interesting. When you look at these teams and look at some of the teams that they played before they play the Knicks, they'll have lost a game here or there to like some rando team, like they don't care because that's the NBA. And then all of a sudden the Knicks show up, and all they want to do is just absolutely slap them around, which is exactly what they do.
I mean, even the Celtics said, there were several guys that said, we find an extra gear when we play the Knicks.
Exactly, because there's so much media around the Knicks, and there's so much intensity around the rivalry, and it goes back years and years and years, as we all know. But there's basically 3 tiers of teams in the league, and the top tier are the Celtics, the Thunder, and, of course, the Cavaliers. And 2 of those happen to be in the Eastern Conference. Then there's the second tier, and that's the Knicks, Grizzlies, and I believe I would say the Nuggets.
Yeah, Denver, yeah.
Right? And then there's tier 3, which is the Pacers, Bucks, Lakers, Rockets, and Mavs. And the Mavs have won 3 of their last 4, by the way.
Yeah.
And they lost to Golden State, I think it was last night. But I look at the Knicks, and I say to myself, very good team, a very likable team, a team that you want to believe in. We watched them go into the playoffs last year. They lost a number of guys. We fell in love with the team because they played defense. They played hard. But this team right now, I just think they're just not good enough to play those top-tier teams. And it's going to be a great season. It's going to be a fun season. You're going to go into the Garden, and you're going to have some great games and some great nights, where they just barely beat the Bulls in overtime, and they're going to be talking about how they're a great team, and they're working together, and they're trying to do all of this, and then all of a sudden reality is going to slap them in the face. And if there aren't injuries to the Cavs, Celtics, or Thunder that are significant, like what happened to the Knicks in the playoffs last year, there's no way they're getting a championship.
Yeah, there's no way they're getting out of the second round. It feels like
they'll end up having to play the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, and last year the team definitely had a chip on its shoulder. There was more grit on that team. I think mainly because you had Hartenstein and Dante DiVincenzo. I also think that Julius Randle provided grit. Now, I'm not going to go back and say that Julius Randle on this team would make them better. I'm not doing that. But when you're talking about a personality standpoint of this group, ever since Tibbs got here was a grind it out. We're going to work harder than you. We're going to play better defense than anybody in the regular season. And this team's more talented. They're better offensively. It's the best offensive team statistically in the history of the organization. But they're really bad defensively. And their 2 best players in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are the biggest culprits. So, you could razzle-dazzle. You could do all the things you want offensively. But if those 2 guys aren't going to be at least B-plus defenders in the postseason, then you're done. I mean, especially when you're talking about how talented the Boston Celtics are. So I just want them I didn't even think that they were good enough to beat them this year. But I felt like, hey, the next step for them is to take that team to 7 games or just get there and show that you're ready to be the next team who's going to slay the dragon and potentially get to the NBA Finals and get past the Boston Celtics. At the very least, that's what I want to see.
You got to hope for injury.
They got no chance of beating this team.
Well, not as long as they're healthy.
It's like Yankees-Astros here.
It is. But as long as they're healthy, it's going to be very difficult to beat them. And that's why it's not that you're hoping for injuries, that you just don't know what may happen over the last quarter of the season if somebody goes down for one of these teams that are in front of the Knicks and the Knicks can stay healthy and get Mitchell Robinson back. The other thing, too, is that the Knicks, in these 2 games, they get very little production from the bench.
They are not deep at all, and that's been something that has been the biggest criticism of them from the beginning of the season. It's just they're top heavy. Tibbs is fine with that because he plays these guys the entire game, but they're not deep. The bench is.
When you take a look at the amount of points the bench for the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics deliver, I mean that's a big problem for the Knicks too. So, all I can tell you is that enjoy the season, folks, because the regular season is going to be fine. They may get up to, I don't know if they'll get, what do you think, they'll get to 47, 46 wins, something like that, 48 wins?
Sure.
I mean, that's what I would expect. I mean, they got a quarter of the season left to go. They're going to probably be stuck in the 3rd spot. The NBA is kind of interesting. Unless somebody gets injured, pretty much what you're seeing is what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's going to be. This is going to be, maybe there could be a switch, in the play-in. Maybe Detroit falls. Maybe Orlando goes up to number 6. That's about it.
Yeah, and the NBA is the opposite of what we talk about in baseball and hockey in the playoffs, where it's like, hey, man, if you get in and you're playing your best at that time and you're hot goaltender, good pitching, defense, like maybe anything can happen, and there's examples and examples of that in both of those sports. The NBA is nothing like that. The NBA, best teams are the best teams, and that's that.
It's funny. Gunnar sent me some long paper that's filled with analytics about the major sports leagues in this country and about how many games ultimately decide who the best teams are before they get to the playoffs, how many games you have to play before you know who the best teams are.
Okay.
And obviously what it doesn't take into account is whether or not a team loses players to injury. But if you just looked at the NBA, they need the least amount of games to play to know who the team should be that should be in the playoffs. If you take it to the NFL, it's a whole different story. You need almost the entire season to know, because of the amount of teams that can go from a wild card spot all the way and win the Super Bowl, as the Giants proved out.
Yeah.
And beat an undefeated team, no less. Major League Baseball, they need about 100. I think it was about 145 games.
Wow.
To determine.
That's essentially the entire season, too.
Yeah, but the only reason because they added the wild cards.
Right.
If you don't add the wild cards, then it would have been like 130 games. So and the NHL is the one where you have no idea what's going to happen.
Could be anybody any year.
Could be anybody. Like for instance, looking at the Rangers, okay? They still have top-tier players. They still have a top-tier goalie. They may not be playing great. They beat Pittsburgh yesterday. He was playing like crap, too, by the way. But, coming out of the break and coming out of the Four Nations tournament and to get housed by Buffalo again, I mean, it's just an embarrassment. And then they come back and they get the win yesterday on a back-to-back, which was good. It was a good, solid win. And they're 1 or 2 points out of a wild card, which is crazy.
It would be very hockey for the Rangers to have won the President's Trophy the year before and then not get to a Cup final and then struggle the entire year, get hot at the end, and then go to a Cup final. So that's what happens in that sport.
And plus, the Knicks are already past the trade deadline in the NBA. Now the trade deadline is March 7th for the NHL.
Right. So you still have a lot of moving and shaking, and that trade deadline, the NHL always provides a lot of action. So,
and the real question is, for general managers, is okay, do I believe in this core that they could actually go and do something? So we add to the core, or do I subtract from the team and recoup some assets so I can have something going into, the NHL draft? That's really the question for both the Islanders and the Rangers. I think the Devils are going to make it, but. These 2 teams right now are just stuck, right there on just the outside of the playoffs, and they win a game, they lose a game, they win a game, they lose a game. They need to get on to some sort of 8, 9, 10 game winning streak or point getting streak, I should say, and then maybe they'll make it in, and then who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I feel more confident with the chances of the Islanders or Rangers making a run in the postseason than I do the Knicks, because I feel like they'll get to the second round and get housed. Now, the Knicks have been a better team than those two teams have been in their respective leads the entire year.
Exactly.
They got 2 All-Stars and everything, but just the way the sport is set up and the way that the talent is, and just, I mean, I cannot see, and I don't, you bring up the injury thing. That's the only thing. I don't see how it gets better. So, all right, Mitchell Robinson comes back. Is that really going to tip the scales for the New York Knicks? That Mitchell Robinson is going to somehow be the kryptonite to the Boston Celtics?
No,
yeah,
no. You know why? Because he's not going to be protecting against 3-pointers.
Right. I don't think so. And they are just they're terrible perimeter defensively. They have to be one of the. I guess, what was it? It's like 75 points the Celtics had, I saw, on open shots last night.
Yes.
I mean, that is awful. How do you expect to win any sort of game that way? And it's frustrating because, we used to say about the Tibbs teams that they were the only ones that played defense in the regular season.
So here's the crux of the great Jalen Brunson, who we love, and Karl Anthony Towns. This is what is known about them.
Yeah.
Great offensive players. Can shoot threes, can get can get in the lane, make some plays, but when it comes back to hustling back on defense and playing defense, it just,
And they're showing Towns with the knee thing yesterday too. He sat back down, he was grimacing, so we'll keep an eye on it. It doesn't look like he tore a ligament or anything like that.
He
but
hit somebody's knee.
Yeah, you got the knee on knee thing, bone on bone.
Yeah, bone on bone, man. That sucks.
It really does. It could be traumatizing.
But what can I tell you? We got baseball. We got facial hair for the Yankees.
Yeah, what do you think about the mannequins here? So Al Dukes ordered some mannequin heads that he will expense through Odyssey, I believe. Maybe they will approve it, maybe they won't. But we have the Met and Yankee helmets on mannequin heads, and the Yankee mannequin has a scruffy red beard on it.
But that's not right, though. It's got to be neatly trimmed. So you got to neatly trim this thing. You can't have a beard like this. This is the Yankees, for God's sake, Al.
Well, I think it looks great.
It's not right. That's not going to be allowed. This is not going to be allowed. You
want to get some scissors and trim it up?
And by the way, since they had this huge press conference for this thing, oh my God, it's unbelievable. What are we doing? Yeah. I mean, did they say anything about hair length?
I did not pay attention to that press conference, man. I had. We announced it. We had some fun with it at the end of the show, yelling about neatly trimmed beards and all of that. We brought up the hair length thing. I'm assuming that the hair length thing remains. But, I mean, it's to me, and I understand it's a long-standing tradition, and it's the New York Yankees, but this is they are making the amount of talk around this was insane. Absolutely insane. A press conference? Wow. You mean I don't agree?
I think it's what is it, like 50 years of like no facial hair?
Yeah, I mean,
or no beards.
Well, that's the thing too that people get confused about is they think that this is something that was going on with the 1927 Yankees. Those guys just stayed clean shaven. This was something that started in the 70s.
It was the Steinbrenner,
right? Yeah. So this is not like it's hundreds of years of tradition. No, it's not.
What's the next thing? We're going to put names on the back of the jerseys.
I don't.
Oh wow!
So. I don't think they're.
Don't they have but they have to be a part of the Major League Baseball like special weekend jersey thing.
Yes, they do.
And they put the names on the back. This one they put the name. And by the way, why do they sell at Yankee Stadium jerseys with the names on the back?
I don't know. That's always been confusing to me. And then, a lot of the fans will get on the people who buy the jerseys with the name on the back and say you're not a real fan.
That really bothers people?
I mean,
really?
It does. I don't know, man. It does. And the whole thing now, you see that they're not going to play New York, New York after losses. They're going to play another Sinatra song now. It's only New York, New York when they win. So Hal is switching things up, man. He's getting with the times. He's saying, you know what? We are going into 2025 with a bang. You're allowed to have a beard, and we're not going to play New York, New York after a loss.
I can understand the facial hair, especially because they do have a number of players that want their facial hair, and they should be allowed to have their facial hair like yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you love your facial hair.
You're
a big facial hair guy.
I look horrendous without a beard. Absolutely horrendous.
And I'm sure that some of these players feel the same way that you do.
Devin Williams in particular.
And he had to shave, and then all of a sudden, this comes out, and now he can grow his beard back and be more of a total man in his eyes.
A total man.
That's what you are. You're a total man.
Not a half a man.
No.
Total
you
man.
are a 100% total man with a beard.
Yeah.
You're basically neutered without your beard.
Yeah. It's
You're like Elvis.
It's a bad look. There's a lot of facial fat that comes out when you shave the beard for me, and I don't like it. So I like to. It's just part. This is me.
I really can't grow a beard. That's the thing. And I know
Really?
that Al did an AI thing of me, which it's got to stop. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just got to stop.
It's not going to stop because
It's got to stop because if it doesn't stop, I mean, I'm just one of these days he's going to really piss me off because he's got to do somebody else.
But
He can't
here's
just always be me in his little AI chat room.
well, all right.
And I understand that, like, I'm the famous one. I get it.
And it spits you out perfectly every time. That's why he's using you. If all of us were in there, he'd be putting all of us in there.
You know what? I'm going to give you some noogies. That's what you need. You need some
wow.
noogies.
Monday Noog.
I'll give you some Monday noogies is what I'm going to give you.
Yeah, all right.
You son bitch.
There's your reads. Because he didn't want to come close to you because he felt like he was going to get a Monday Noogie.
You may get a Monday noogie. I'm going to give him.
Well, it's so good. Like, I don't want Al to stop yet. It hasn't lost his novelty yet. Like, maybe by the beginning of baseball season it might, but I still love every bit of it because it's so perfect. I mean, it has perfected your face amazingly. And I'm jealous that it can't make me. I want it to make me. Put me in all sorts of situations. I don't care.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if I can upload a picture of you, and maybe then it could do it. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you see, like, a lot of people doing crazy AI stuff. I don't know if that's with Grok or they have another thing that they're paying for, but you should be able to do that. I mean, in all of us, like...
Can you do it in Chat GPT?
Yeah, you could, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll work on it so it could be all of us, so we're not just pounding on you all the time.
Just like you guys are just relentless.
You got to,
especially him.
You got to admit,
That's what I'm
though.
telling you, right? I'm telling you, we got at least 3.5 hours left, and there could be a noogie coming your way, or a purple nurple.
Wow. You know what one was
One or the
worst?
other.
The worst one out of all of those things, purple nurple, noogie, all of
Wedgie.
it, the wedgie, the Charlie horse, the thing that I hated more than anything.
The nut tack.
No, actually, that's a bad one. That's probably number
the
2.
nut tap is like, forget it.
The worst one ever. Disgusting. Wet Willie.
Wet Willie's another one, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but the nut
it's
tap is the one that-
violating, though.
But
the
the
nut
nut-
tap really hurts. But when someone puts their spit-covered finger into your ear,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
The nut tap, you get hit, and you know you're hit.
And it
And
takes
then,
like 2 seconds.
then there's like a 7-second delay before it really starts to come at you,
Which
which
is-
is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, I know. It is strange. I know. It's like your body is like preparing you. Like, all right, you have a couple seconds to get mentally prepared here that this is going to hurt like a son of a bitch.
Yes.
So get ready. Get your mind right. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Just getting started on this Monday morning. We might have some Monday noogies coming Al Duke's way. We will see. Jerry Recco joins us in a couple of minutes. If Boomer tries to give Jerry a noogie, I think it's going to end in a brawl. That's what I think would
Why,
happen.
you think Jerry's in a bad mood?
No. I just think that if you went after him right on the Monday morning with a
Well, I would do a
noogie
noogie to him
situation, it
because
would not
he's,
go
you know,
well.
He's losing his hair, and that would maybe perpetuate that problem.
All right, Boomer's got something for you. We'll come right back right after this.